Hello to all my 195 YouTube subscribers. I'm going to do a quick video on sharpening the cutter teeth on the FECON today. I work the machine in the woods one day, and then next day I'm back at the shop doing maintenance, resharpening cutters, cleaning air filters, cleaning all the debris out of the belly pans because it catches on fire. And a lot of these machines burn down out in the woods from not keeping the belly pans clean. So you have to be real careful. They have escape hatches in the front and the back if you get trapped, if you're lucky enough to get out. But anyhow, so just a quick video on the FECON hardened steel teeth. I don't run the carbides. A lot of guys run the carbides because they think they don't have to resharpen them after every day, but they round off too, and they just become beaters and pulverizers, and you don't get a good product at the end of the day. So I go ahead and resharpen my teeth, and I think the customer gets the biggest bang for their buck that way, because it's so much faster to get a smaller mulch. And at the end of the day, when you're back dragging and running this mulch back through the cutter head, it really looks a lot better. So I have no problem resharpening teeth. But anyhow, I'm going to set the phone up and sharpen one of these FECON. This is the FECON brand. This is not an aftermarket. I think the FECON makes a better cutter than some of the aftermarket guys. They got the right hardness, just the right amount of hardness and softness. If they get too hard, if you hit something steel, they'll break. If they're too soft, they wear down way too quick. So there's a happy medium in there, and I think FECON has hit that happy medium. So, okay, let me set the phone up, and I'll show you how to sharpen these teeth. Razor sharp. Okay, but just for the sake of time, I did one for you that was not really rounded off. The ones on this side of the cutter head, they don't wear as fast because for some reason, and I know the reason, my axles are bent, the right side of this cutter head hangs a little lower, so it's in the dirt more often during the day. So these round off quite a bit more. Let's see if you can see that. It's going to take me a few minutes longer to sharpen this one, because the farther back you can go from the bottom side, the better it is. You don't want it to be real fat and sharp. You want it to be tapered really well. So anyhow, yeah, so these cutters work pretty well. And 36 grit flap disc on an angle grinder, that works pretty good. It polishes that top, keeps it smooth, and hopefully it helps it last a little longer during the course of the day. But you know, you get two sides on these cutters, and you can sharpen this side maybe 5 or 6 times. So if you get an acre a day, maybe you get 5 or 6 acres, maybe 7 acres out of each side if you're lucky. So let's just say you get 15 acres out of both sides. And these things are like $42 a piece plus shipping and taxes. So you can do the math. I usually spend a couple $1,000 every couple of weeks. If I worked 5 days a week, every 2 weeks, I'd spend a couple of $1,000 having these delivered. So you want them to last as long as they can. And I used to sharpen from the top, but that takes away from the length. And you want these things to stay as long as you can, for as long as you can, because they create a vacuum at the end of the day when you're back dragging and you just float that cutter head above the ground. They kind of suck that debris up in the cutter head again and throws it out really fine. It makes a better finish that way. So it would be nice if the top didn't wear and only the bottom washed away. Then you would always have a razor sharp edge, but it doesn't work that way. So when this cutter comes around and hits the tree, it starts rubbing on this top and then it rounds off that edge. So yeah, so I'll just practice this sharpening from the bottom method for a while and see how that goes. And if they'll stay longer, for longer periods of time, that would really help me. And the customer gets the biggest bang for the buck that way. Because a lot of guys run these carbide teeth. These are just hardened steel. But you can buy the carbide tip teeth. And the reason they do that is because they get tired of coming home and having to resharpen cutters at the end of a long day or the next day. And but the carbide, it rounds off too, and it just becomes a beater, a pulverizer. So it's not slicing, and you don't get as good a finish. You can, but it takes twice as long of back dragging at the end of the day to get any kind of presentable finish. The customer wants it to look good at the end of the day. So I don't mind coming home. I'll work one day in the woods, and the next day I'll stay home at the shop, cleaning debris out of the engine compartment and sharpening cutters, cleaning all the dirt out of the air filters and re-greasing all the fittings. And because if you don't clean the debris out of the belly pans, you got to drop the belly pans, it'll catch on fire out in the woods, and you don't want that. It happens quite often actually. But they have a bulletproof glass on the front, so there's emergency exit handles. If you have this cutter head raised up, let's see if I can show you. This crossbar that connects these loader arms, when this comes up in front of the door, you can't get out. So they have emergency handles on the inside. See the red handle there, and another one down here. And you can pop that. It's just bulletproof, and it has to be, because sometimes you throw stuff up against this and it would kill you. So it's dangerous. But they also have exit handles on that back glass if you can squeeze out of there if you get stuck. So there's ways to escape, but you really have to be careful. So for those of you who are contemplating getting into forestry mulching, I'll make a few short videos of maintenance and repairs, and maybe it will help you. I mean, I'm not the best, but I'll show you what I know, and maybe you can make a comment and help me out. If you know something I don't know, you see me doing something wrong, I'm not above reproach, that's for sure. So, but if you're thinking about getting into it and you want to buy a tractor and a cutter head, this is the ASV RT120. It has the 120 horsepower Cummins crammed in there and 45 gallons per minute hydraulic flow. You have to have high flow hydraulic to keep this big cutter head turning. Otherwise, you'll spend all day with the cutter head stopped and slowly respooling, and that's so frustrating. But if you keep your cutter sharp, this thing will keep spinning all day, and it doesn't overheat the hydraulic temps. That's another problem a lot of the smaller ones have. Kubota and Bobcat and John Deere, they're not set up to cool the hydraulic fluid adequately, and you might have to stop for 30 minutes at a time and let the temps come back down. What never happens on this ASV, because they have the hydraulic reversing fan. I've got mine set for like every 10 minutes. A big, huge fan in the back will reverse and blow debris out of the coolers. So anyhow, so I run the hardened steel teeth. These are the FECON brand. They're not the aftermarkets. FECON seems to have found the sweet spot on how hard or how soft their metal is. If it's too hard, they'll break. If it's too soft, they wear down too fast. So they hit the sweet spot, and these seem to work best for me, even though they're a little more expensive. But so yeah. Okay, well, I hope this helps, and I'll make a few short videos, and appreciate you watching my channel and subscribing and hitting the like button, because that helps me with some traffic. And yeah, so I'll see you on the next one.